بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا مزيدا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. In this 14th class on the chapter of fasting from Zad al-Mustaqna, we left off on the statement وَإِنَّ وَالصَّوْمَ ثُمَّ جُنَّ أو أغمي عليه جميع النهار ولم يفق جزءا منه لم يصح صومه. Let's break it down. وَمَنْ نوى الصوم ثُمَّ جُنَّ. The fast is not valid of one who intended to fast and became insane. أو أغمي عليه, or he lost consciousness. جميع النهار. If that happens for the entire day. For the entire day. What happens for the entire day? Meaning he lost consciousness for the entire day. His fast is not valid. وَلَمْ يُفِقْ جُزْءًا مِنْ, meaning he did not gain consciousness or sanity for any portion of that day. He was out for the whole day. The rule is his fast is not accepted. That's what the author is trying to teach us. That's the madhab of Imam Ahmad, Shafi'i, and Malik. The individual went insane for the entire day, or he lost consciousness for the entire day, he did not wake up for any portion of that day, he didn't wake up for any portion of that day, his fast is invalid. We have insanity here, and we have loss of consciousness. Not just one matter, two matters. Let's take them one by one. The first one is insanity. If one lost his mind for the entire day of Ramadan, from before Fajr or right at Fajr until sundown, his fast is not accepted. It's invalid because in order for your fast to be accepted, we took the conditions. Do you remember one of them? One of them has to be, you have to be sane. And we took the proof on that. So if he's not sane, he's not under the obligations. The ruling is his fast is not accepted, nor does he have to make it up. He's among those that the hadith says the pen has been lifted from 3, and he's one of them. Insanity raises the taklif, not only over fasting, but all the obligations of Islam. Now the next one is one who lost consciousness. One who's in a coma, for example, from an accident or illness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala safeguard you from that. He made suhoor and he lost consciousness. His fast is not accepted. He's just like the person who's insane, because his mind is not there. He's unlike the insane in that he needs to make it up. He needs to make it up. That's the opinion of the majority. The author said, وَيَلْزَمُ الْمُغْمَى عَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاءُ فَقَطْ. That statement means someone unconscious for the entire day must only make up the fast. Someone unconscious the entire day must only make up the fast. The majority and the author state that one in a coma, unconscious, is like sleeping. Yet it really appears to be closer to insanity in that one doesn't have to make it up, because comparing him to one sleeping is not really that strong. A sleeping person, you can wake him up, unlike an unconscious person. Therefore, comparing him to someone insane is much stronger. Just like you can get an insane, you can't get an insane to return to his mind, you can't get an unconscious person to wake up. So he's not like a sleeping person. Also, the unconscious person, his mind is not present, just like the insane. And more so, he doesn't respond. The person who's unconscious doesn't respond. He's like a minor. So that also adds to the fact that he doesn't, like a minor doesn't have to make it up, he doesn't have to make it up. It's also like salah. One who's insane or unconscious, and the timing of salah comes and leaves. He doesn't have to make it up. The timing of fasting came and left while he was unconscious. That's just like the timing of salah, coming and leaving. You don't have to make that up. You don't have to make fasting up. That's the opinion that's possibly closer to being correct. Abu Hanifa had a third opinion. He said if one goes unconscious all day after suhoor, it's accepted. It's accepted if he made niyyah, and his suhoor is an indication of a niyyah. Why? He said because fasting is two things, intention and abstaining. Abstaining from water, food, and that which nullifies the fast. And a person who's unconscious did both. The response to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah is the hadith al-Qudsi, كل عمل ابن آدم له إلا الصيام فإنه لي وأنا أجزي به يدع طعامه وشرابه من أجلي. Allah says the person observing the fast has abstained from food and drink and sexual pleasure for my sake. Look at the statement here. يدع طعامه وشرابه من أجلي. That's the point. He abstains, he leaves. That's what the hadith says. He abstains, he leaves food and drink and sexual desire for my sake, Allah says. Did the unconscious person do that? Did he abstain? Did the unconscious person leave? No, you don't say that about an unconscious person. They don't leave because they don't have the will. They're unconscious, they don't have the will. In order to abstain, you need the will. You need the choice. You need the choice between leaving or not leaving. And that's not applicable to someone who's unconscious. That leaves us, we tell Abu Hanifa, that leaves us with niyyah alone. And niyyah alone is not sufficient for fasting. So they need to abstain and they need to have the intention. You're right. But abstaining, they didn't abstain because they need to have the choice. They need to have the will, and they didn't. So the summary of the ruling is one who's unconscious resembles one who is really insane in more ways than one. And he does not, based on that, he does not have to make it up. Finally, on this, if one becomes unconscious for the whole day, but he wakes up a portion of the day, then according to Imam Ahmad, that's sufficient for his fast to be accepted because he falls then under a person who has abstained from food, waters, and the nullifiers of fast because he got up for a portion of the day. The student of Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Ibn Qadi said, just like one does not make up salah if he's unconscious during the entire time of salah, he doesn't have to make fast if it's time and comes and goes while he's unconscious. Then he says, if one was to gain consciousness for a portion of the day, then his fast is accepted because then he had abstained. Assuming he goes unconscious from before Fajr until sunrise, and he wakes up, his fast is accepted since he awoke a portion of the day. But this is another issue, it's not pertaining to fast, and he does not have to make up Salat al-Fajr according to the majority opinion because the obligatory time of that Salah began and ended while he was unconscious. Now next, let's move on. لا إن نام جميع النهار. لا, now he moves on to sleeping. لا, but what? But the fast is not void or broken. إن نام جميع النهار. If one sleeps for the entire day. So if one sleeps for the entire day, the author is saying the fast is not void or broken. In sleeping, if he makes a suhoor, and why we say makes a suhoor? Because that's indicative when you make your suhoor. It's not about the suhoor itself in this issue. It's indicative that, why did he make the suhoor? It's indicative that he had the intention. If one makes a suhoor before Fajr and he sleeps until Maghrib, according to the statement, his fast is good. Now the issue of getting sins for all the salah he missed out, like in some countries, they really do that. That's a whole different other issue. We're discussing here if his fast is void or not. Why is his fast accepted? Why is it accepted? Because he's among those obligated with the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there's no factors that negate his fast. He has the ability to wake up, so he has the choice. And he does not have to make it up. There's nothing that says his fast is void. So a person who slept all day, his fast is good, and he does not have to make it up. That's the ruling on that. So summary of what we took: a mentally ill person, someone who's insane, someone who is insane, if he had the intention, then goes insane from Fajr until Maghrib, his fast is void and he doesn't have to make it up. If someone is unconscious in a similar scenario than that, like that, from Fajr till Maghrib, he's like someone who is sleeping, some say, and some say he's like a person who's insane. We said it appears to be closer to be one, like one who's mentally insane. That means he doesn't have to make it up. The characteristics appear to be closer to one who is insane. Now, a sleeping person, if he made his intention and slept from Fajr until Maghrib, now his fast, inshallah, is accepted. Now, a new topic the author starts on. He says, وَيَجِبُ تَعْيِينُ النِّيَّةِ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. A totally new topic, niyyah. We move on to intention. It's obligatory to specify the intention that one is fasting a day of Ramadan, or whatever type of obligatory fasting it is, from the night, meaning during the night. He says the intention is wajib. That's by ijma'. The intention is wajib and it's by ijma'. The place of the intention is your heart. That's where the intention is. There's no doubt that niyyah is wajib in salah, zakah, fasting, hajj, in the ibadat. They're actually not accepted without a niyyah. And the proof is what we went over earlier on in the classes. وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. They were commanded not, but that they should worship Allah and worship none but Him alone. In the hadith on this matter, that's authority on this matter, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Actions are by intentions. Verily, actions are by intentions. You must specify your niyyah. You must. You must put in your heart what it is you're fasted. Is it Ramadan? Is it a kaffara? Is it a kaffara expiation for killing? Or is it a kaffara for an oath you retracted? Is it makeup days? Is it a vow you made? You must have a determined and heart intention as to what you're fasting. This is the opinion of the overwhelming great vast majority of the ulama. Among them is Malik, Shafi'i, Ibn Taymiyyah, and many others. Just specifying that I'll fast from pre-dawn to sunset is not sufficient, because it doesn't qualify as a standard to the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. You must specify. مِنَ اللَّيْلِ. The author says مِنَ اللَّيْلِ as a condition that you have to have that intention at night. At night time. Night here means from between Maghrib and Fajr. A moment after Maghrib and a moment before Fajr, that's sufficient. Any time in between those times. If one does not pre-plan his niyyah in any portion of the night, it's not an accepted fast. The hadith is clear. Ad-Daraqutni narrated that Aisha radiallahu anha said, مَنْ لَمْ يُبَيِّتِ الصِّيَامِ مِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَلَا صِيَامَ لَهُ. She said, and the Messenger ﷺ said, whoever does not have the intention of fasting from the night before, then there's no fast for him. The Messenger specified a time frame for that niyyah. And that time is at night between Maghrib and Fajr. So the hadith says there's no fast for him, no siyam for him, meaning his fast is not accepted because he missed out on what? On a pillar, on a rukun. What's that rukun? It's the rukun of the intention. That's like saying, the hadith, لا صلاة لمن لم يقرأ بفاتحة الكتاب. There's no prayer for one who does not read from the Fatiha. Meaning, it's a pillar, it's a rukun. It's a rukun of salah. Just like intention is a pillar or a rukun for fasting and ibadat in general. Shafi'i, Malik, and Ahmad said, one who does not have the intention at night, his fasting is invalid. That's the correct opinion. The second opinion is Abu Hanifa said, if he has the intention during the day in a fard, it's okay. And Abu Hanifa used the proof of Ashura. When the Messenger ﷺ ordered his messenger to go out and declare Ashura, for those who didn't know, he said, fast and begin your fast during the day whether you ate or not. They didn't have the intention the night before. That's the proof for Abu Hanifa. Some responded to Abu Hanifa rahimahullah and they said that the answer to that is Ashura was not wajib. That's a very weak response to the proof Abu Hanifa rahimahullah used, because it was clear and evident that Ashura was wajib. The answer is they didn't know. It became wajib right there and then. So they didn't know that this day was Ashura for them to have the intention. Therefore, their lack of knowledge that this was Ashura is something that Allah will forgive them for their lack of intention. Once you know tomorrow's Ramadan, you must make a determined heart intention before Fajr. Next issue. What part of the night do we make the intention? Nearly all the ulama who spoke about this, and among them is Malik al-Shafi'i and Ahmad, and others said any part of the night from Maghrib all the way to Fajr. So a moment before Fajr, if one has the intention, that's sufficient for fast and obligatory fast. Next he said, لِصَوْمِ كُلِّ يَوْمٍ, for every day. So the author adopts the opinion that you have to have an intention for every single day. According to Imam Ahmad and the Hanbali madhab, if someone slept from Asr and woke up the next day after Fajr, in any day of Ramadan, his fast is not accepted because you didn't have the intention. According to the opinion that says you need the intention for every day of Ramadan, that means you need 29 to 30 intentions for Ramadan. This is according to the popular opinion of Imam Ahmad, and it's the madhab, since their rationale on this is that every single day of Ramadan is an independent ibadah. Now the second opinion is that other ulama said ibadat that follow each other, like that of Ramadan, night after night, one niyyah is sufficient as long as one does not break the chain of events. What do we mean by chain of events? The chain of fasted Ramadan. If you intend on fasting the first day of Ramadan and you didn't break it for no reason, that intention is sufficient to last for the entire month. If you make the intention in the start of Ramadan for the entire month, that's sufficient. That's all you need to do. Unless you break it, for example, like a journey. You go on a journey and you break the chain of events by traveling, or you become ill, or a woman on her menstrual cycle. Then they must renew the intention once they return to fasted Ramadan. That's the correct opinion. That for the entire month, all you need is one intention. Why? Because when you do your intention in the start of Ramadan, when a Muslim does it, he doesn't just say, I'm going to do 1 or 2 days. His intention is the whole month. And according to this opinion, if one sleeps after Asr, wakes up after Fajr, then his fast is okay. Because his initial intention in the start of Ramadan or in the start of the obligatory fasting is sufficient. The same applies to any kind of wajib or fard fasting that you have. For example, the expiation of 60 days, if you have to do it, the initial niyyah is sufficient. لا نية الفرضية. لا نية الفرضية. The author says it's not required that he specify it's fard. It's not required that you specify it's fard in your heart. You don't have to specify that it's fard. Meaning, you don't have to specifically have in your heart that it's fard. If one says, I'm fasting Ramadan, it's implied within that it's fard. It's included in that. If it's a kaffara for something he did, he must do it. If he intended expiation for something, it's fard. But it's included in that when he does the intention as an expiation. If one intended to fast a vow that he imposed upon himself, he made fard on himself, it's fard. So if he says, I'm going to do the vow in his heart, that's sufficient. That's like if I intend on praying Maghrib. I go to pray Maghrib. I don't need to specify Maghrib is fard because it's automatically included. I'm doing Maghrib in my heart, it's fard. One does not have to make the intention that it's fard. That's included in the intention of Ramadan itself. However, it's better to include also in your heart intention that it's fard. Next point. keep in mind the intention must be firm and determined. That's an important point. You have to keep that in mind, and many neglect that. One whose intention is hesitant or indecisive, that hesitant is invalid. It's not sufficient, and the fast is not accepted. If you say, I'm going to fast tomorrow, inshallah. Now, is that fast accepted? You said, inshallah. It's not automatically a no. We reject your fast. It's rejected. We have to know what he intended by saying inshallah. Inshallah has a meaning that it means to attain Allah's aid to perform that task. Inshallah could mean I need Allah's help to help me in that task. If he meant it like that, in that context of seeking Allah's aid to perform that task, then his fast is valid. When Sulaiman alayhi salam said, I will have intercourse with 70 wives during the night, and every wife among them will give birth to a child who will fight in the cause of Allah. And they told him, say inshallah, and he did not say it. None of his wives, at the end, the conclusion, that none of his wives gave birth to any child except one who was an incomplete person. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he informed us of that story, said, if he had said inshallah, he would not have failed, and his desire would have been fulfilled. He would not have failed, and his desire would have been fulfilled. So inshallah could mean to attain aid from Allah for that task that you're about to do. If that's what one intended, then his niyyah is determined and firm, and his fast is good. If the inshallah he meant, and his intention was hesitancy, then the intention is invalid and the fast is invalid. If he intended with inshallah, maybe I might fast tomorrow, I may not fast. That's an invalid intention for any type of fard fasting, and it's not accepted fasting. He must make that day up. Intention could also mean by eating suhoor. Why did someone get up to eat suhoor? If he's having breakfast before going to an early job, that's clear. He's having breakfast to go to an early job. That's not suhoor, that's breakfast. But someone who hastens to get food and water right before Fajr, and he sets his alarm clock and he plans that. Why did he do all that? And why the timing and the situation? Because it's suhoor, it's the niyyah. That itself is the niyyah for fasting. Next, the author discusses the type of nafil type of fasting. We'll stop here because I don't want to stop in the middle of talking about that. We'll talk about it tomorrow, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه